While the typhoon may be raging on here in Shanghai, Vici find themselves weathering a different storm in Chongqing as they have dropped Game 1 against Snake and now find themselves trying to come back to bring us to a Game 3 in that Snake pit. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dom. This is Clement. And look, the odds aren't great for Vici. They are 1-7 right now. They didn't exactly have a great spring split, though we do see them starting to experiment and flesh out the team's playstyles a little bit more. They're not exclusively playing around Swift. They're not exclusively playing around EasyHoon, and there is more opportunity for success in that regard.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think Vici really changes much until they can upgrade their players at this point. The main problem we identified with Vici in spring has been that they have a kind of a weaker talent pool overall. And even though they swapped 3 new players in for summer, I still believe that is the case. They're very limited by their champion pools. Their strategical choices are as well. So it was very easy for Snake to say that you're going to play the Yasuo, you're going to play the Wombo combo, and we have the counter before you even show your picks.
And it's so interesting that we're seeing that considering we just had Coco brought into the Vici roster. Audi, previously the sub for EDG. Swift, now a very, very talented jungler, and we're still seeing the same problem crop up.
Yep. For Coco, I would say no one's going cuckoo for Coco right now. It's he didn't have a very good showing on the first time. Icon welcomed him back into Chengdu and killed him 3 times in 3 minutes. So it was not great. And that's why we're seeing Fire Rain. I do believe Fire Rain is the younger player as well, so he might be the one that they're pinning the future of the organization on. Coco's already 24, had played very long time back in CJ Entis, and even before that.
Perhaps as the younger player, he could have some tricks to show us, and if there's anything that we know, Silly Rabbit, tricks are for kids. As we get ready for this next one. Look, you set up the first one.
Okay. I just want to see them play Zoe, all right? I think it's ridiculous that in this day and age, we have 2 mid laners that both don't play Zoe and have to ban it basically every time they go up against EDG.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, we could see Fire Rain play Aurelia. We could see Guoguo go back to his old staples, the long-range mages. I know Azir isn't meta, but Orianna is. Ryze is. And when we do see Guoguo on Azir, that's when it seems like he's his most comfortable.
Can I talk about what I'm really excited about this game?
As long as it's not breakfast cereal.
It's not breakfast cereal.
Okay, yeah, get in there.
Snake on blue side.
Yes.
Because you know, this means 2 things. It means 1, they have a chance at that first pick Aatrox, and we haven't seen Flandre on it yet. I can't wait to see him actually do it.
There's no way. Vici is 1-7, but there's no way they give over blue side Aatrox.
All right. You're talking about Audi, who was the best Camille player in the world at one point. Is he not going to step up to that challenge? Is he really going to just hide behind that ban forever?
He does consider it, we at least consider him to be the lane top laner, where he does play for that laning phase. So seeing him on the Ornn is a bit of a disappointment. If he does want to throw down the gauntlet.
And here's a chance to do it. Let the Aatrox fly.
But it's against Flandre.
I know it's probably not a good idea, but I just want to see Flandre on that champion.
Okay. Here we go. We've got 2 bans, Vici. You've got 2 chances. They've already used 1 to deny a funnel composition with that Taric. Let's see if they go for the Graves next. Their bans in the last game was that Taric and Swain, but now on red side they ban Morgana.
Oh, we've got 1 last shot at it. Please don't do it. Audi, I know you can step up to the match. Of course, they're banning away Taric because Snake has ran 5 different funnel champions. They've had the Mastery Rengar, Babushcat, as we like to call it.
They've got so many different funnel styles.
Yeah, Aurelia, Graves
there
as
it
well.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
See,
never
not
mind.
even Vici make that mistake. And that's not to say that Aatrox is just that powerful. It's just so risky, especially in the hands of Flandre.
Yeah, it's too good because it can go into 2 positions, and it's very hard to avoid any of those matchups. He does win out against a lot of those mid laners without mobility as well. So Snake are just going for the tried and true with the Swain first pick. They do flex it between Light and Guoguo. Very standard LCK type of draft.
We've seen Light take the champion a handful of times to moderate success, as now Vici will be hunting for an answer for that. Kindred, like you said, gets passed over. But you talked about that Camille, you talked about the Kindred. I think Audi's just keeping us on our toes here, as he will prioritize Swift in the jungle this time. And this is a style, I think, that Vici could see success on. If they can just rally behind Swift, play the 2015 Xiaogu style, the 2016 newbie style, and let Swift just put the whole team on his back.
I honestly think that Vici's problems are not that hard to fix. They just need to settle on one lane, which they absolutely have to have win.
Yeah.
That's something they've lacked. All three of their lanes are losing constantly. They're very far behind in gold, but that shouldn't be the case. Swift should be able to win out in the 2v2. He's such a good mechanical player. So if you have Kindred and you have a counter pick in one of your lanes, that just sets you up for a very simple strategy. Just repeat gank.
It's up to Swift to actually make those repeat ganks happen. I'm sure somewhere out there exists a 2018 summer Vici Swift highlight reel of his quote-unquote ganks, in which he approaches the lane, watches his laner die, and then takes the minion wave as it crashes into the turret.
That's happened quite a few times.
It's a lot. So even if he does pick the lane, it's up to him to actually act on it. Now, there is a Gragas, so now we can see Snake trying to counter the same style that they just played. Again, that cask, very good on top of the Lamb's Respite.
Yep, but we do have to remember this might not be just a jungle pick. Rusty was talking about it. It's very popular because it does counter the Kindred, but on the same hand, it also does act as a flex that you could put into the top lane. However, right away, Snake are saying this is going to jungle.
Yeah, very early blind Gnar rotation from Flandre, just taking something stable and safe up there. So Vici will get the chance to try to counter that, but now we've got another Yasuo locked in for Vici. They're putting Fire Rain on something that he really needs to be confident.
If Vici are creative here, this Yasuo could go into the top lane. We've seen this be a counter pick into the Gnar for quite a while. Your Wind Wall does interact with the Boomerang, which puts Boomerang on a very, very long cooldown.
Well, with that Gnar safe and the Swain, not 100% certain there was possibility for a funnel there, but still Vici just taking it safe, banning away the Kaisa. We've seen SOFM play it. Not 100% certain if Light has played it yet, as that Alistar is banned away from him. From Vici on the far side, Caveman, he was the one with his head in his hands at the end of that game one, coming back out on stage in the summer heat. As the pressure starts to mount, will he be able to find stability with Vici and try to bring us to a game 3 in this?
I think Vici are again going for a wombo combo type of comp. If you look at the Orianna Yasuo, that's a shockwave into Last Breath. So very strong setup right there. And they also taken away the Kindred just to make sure that Snake can't pull the same tricks they did in game 1. Now for Snake, I actually think they're going more for a 4-1 type of composition. And in this type of comp, you want to prioritize disengage and also wave clear. So you can have the 4-man hold any siege and have the Gnar do his thing in one of the side lanes.
That means we'll still be looking for perhaps a powerful mid laner for Guol to keep Snake on the back foot, enable them to just turn around and back away if Vici decide to try to all in and look for what looks like another Wombo. Or perhaps a marksman and send that swing into the mid lane, but with Kaisa already taken away, that does narrow the pool down a bit.
The big question is where is the Orianna and Yasuo going? Because what is most likely going to happen is Yasuo will be picked up by Fire Rain in the mid lane, and Snow will take up the Orianna. However, they can swap this around. They can place the Yasuo into the top and have the Orianna mid as well. There's always a possibility for that flex. And if Vladimir is locked in here, I actually think that increases the probability that that happens. Orianna is actually a very good counter into the Vladimir just because of the range.
And it will be locked in. Vladimir alongside that Swain, so lots of magic damage, and of course Flandre is on that very powerful Gnar into the top lane. Vici will get the chance to determine counterpick on that side for Audi, saving that for last. So hopefully he'll get himself a better matchup than that Ornn in the previous game, but Snake, they still need to show us their final composition as they're the ones who take away that Shen.
Yep, they do want to get some more protection for their one spot in the 4-1 type of composition. It is pretty easy to run down when you have pikes on the map. So just getting a little bit more protection to make sure their comp can run the way they want it to. And it also fits the Snake style. We talk about spontaneous team fight for this team. They want to show up in the middle of nowhere and all collapse at the same time. Vici going for the Wombo combo and again going for a more standard lane setup for them. They could still, however, swap around where Yasuo and Orianna are going. Fire Rain has not played the Orianna, but you know, if another team was piloting this comp like IG, I think they definitely would swap.
Oh yeah, especially because rookie on Orianna is something that's real scary. the Battle Ball Ori. But we'll see whether or not they decide to swap those lanes or just try to match it out nice and standard, as Fire Rain will have to deal with Gorgo in that mid lane if he decides to take the Yasuo there. Meanwhile, Audi going back into the top lane against Flandre's Gnar, once again on that Ornn. So he will still have his work cut out for them, and there is going to be plenty of opportunities for both junglers to head towards that side of the map now that there is a bit of CC on both sides. Again,
we're seeing Vici with a much stronger jungle mid combination. However, I don't really like their bot lane. With the Pyke, you want to follow up with a bit more CC and burst damage. Unfortunately, Orianna does not provide that to you. The Orianna, I believe, was more of a compositional counter to what Snake was running, a composition that does like to run at you with the Vladimir and the Swain.
You always do see, or something that is very successful, is Pyke and Kindred, either together or against each other, because the death from below is so excellent off the back of the Lamb's Respite. As everyone is all stacked up in that very narrow area, it's very easy to start chaining kills back to back to back and just fishing gold out for your team.
Yeah, and Caveman has to be one of the best Pikes we've seen so far. The game they had against EDG went very, very late. It was over 30 kills, and a lot of those opportunities were off of Caveman's Pyke. Of course, they did lose a Baron because he pulled the Slicing Maelstrom Kennen into his own team.
Well,
but if you don't look at that,
if
you don't look at that, he actually did very, very well that game on this champion. So I'm very excited for to see him on Pyke again.
You win some, and sometimes you fish a Kennen into 5 people. So sometimes you pull up gold, sometimes not. But as we prepare to load onto the Rift, it's time once again to hear from the crowd in Chongqing and see whether the Snake fans are still representing just as loud or whether Vici will be able to upset the decibel meter. As we load onto the Rift for this game number 2. Still just as loud as ever. Gaming never ends on those Vici signs, as they have to take a defensive line and try to turn this match back around and bring us to a game 3 on match point against Snake.
And Chongqing never sleeps, especially not for their esports team. They want to see how well they can do. Always a lot of fans for them out there.
Quick never move as Snake step forward and actually clear out that ward and pixel brush. Snake, again, with a very rehearsed level 1. Step into the jungle of Vici. It seems as though we've seen a lot more level 1s out of teams this past weekend here in the LPL. As Light's actually stepping up, but Snow and Caveman will walk forward to try and force them away. Let's see if we get a fight over this blue buff. Quick command attack. Fire Rain's even over the wall as well.
It's going to be a 4v4, but Snake do have a higher potential to make picks. They have 3 potential CCs.
Flash, Shadow Dash, never move, and they get a lot of burst. Swift heals himself up with an early smite, but he goes down. First blood passed over to Maestro. Fire Rain is behind them, and SOFM very low health with no smite. He will finish off this blue buff as a never move catches Fire Rain. Ooh, and doesn't get the Steel Tempest over the wall. That Steel Wind Rising not able to get the knock-up. Blue buff successful, and first blood to Snake.
Yeah, and this is a lot worse than it might appear, because look at Kindred. She's going to lose one of her marks straight away. You only get your first marks onto the scuttles, and if both of them are denied from you, it's a very, very rough start. So it was a good strategy from Snake. They had triple layering of Cease crowd control, and actually 4 crowd controls if you count the Swain's passive as well. So put themselves in a much more decisive position, while Vici themselves were split and were unwilling to back off either.
And that's going to set Snake off on the right foot. 800 gold ahead. It starts with the flash dash out of Maestro.
Yep, and you could see the pullback coming in. SOFM also going with his stun. It wasn't even perfectly layered coming up from Snake. They actually missed 2 out of 4 of their crowd controls, but they still were able to get the kill anyway. That's how powerful their level 1 actually was in that scenario.
Yeah, it didn't need to be an SOFM. What a guy. He goes blue buff, Scuttle Crab, enemy Raptors.
Yeah, you have to take away double scuttles. If you get this type of a lead, you want to put Kindred in the grave. So you just take away everything that she could possibly have marks on. And for the 0 marks, she has to start at scuttles. You deny that by 2.5 minutes. It's very, very bad start for Kindred.
It's really looking tough. for Swift and the gang, as he is on that carry. And we said one of these lanes has got to be a strong winning lane for Vici, so that they can just stack up behind this one person and let them do all of the carry work. Well, that Kindred is not going to be the carry lane, as Swift is trying to clear out the jungle as best he can. Red buff, and turning now towards that wolf camp to try and get some sort of health back, but already it's 800 gold ahead. 8 CS lead for SOFM. Like we said, he denied both scuttles, he stole away the raptors, and now he's taking his own.
There's a real possibility that Kindred this game only gets marks from kills. you do have to start out the scuttles, and at this point, I think Snake is going to have an iron grip on that. The worst thing that could happen for Vici right now is if the scuttle actually spawned into the bot side of the river, and you have the CC combination that can push very well early on, and Gragas then picks up the scuttle repeatedly.
Yeah. Well, the first one has expired, and look at that, the next scuttle is also spawning on that bottom lane river, but Firerain and Swift are trying to step up into the mid lane. Swift has actually, or sorry, SOFM has not completed a recall yet. He's still sitting on that Hunter's Talisman while he finishes off Krugs, and still hasn't even taken his blue buff, but Guo steps up along with a trade. Oh, so we get a quick shot of the arena.
There's no real reason for Guo to risk anything here, so he's just going to drag the wave in and get himself a very sizable CS lead. Already 10 CS up. Of course, there was no jungler to speak of on Vici's side, so that can explain some of the deficits there.
Bone Skewer. Oh, and some damage as Light takes the exhaust. Snow is ignited on the far side. Maestro, he's only got the Targon's command protect, but that's the pushing bottom lane, and it's now 20 seconds for that scuttle. You can see the on my way ping from Swift, but that Orianna is real low health and is going to have to burn through the corrupting charges if she wants to get to the river to support Swift.
Yeah, this is going to be a very big fight here, but we do see Guo going back to base at the same time. SOFM is going to have to smite secure this if he wants to continue to
got
deny.
Tons of vision. Oh, doesn't even use the smite. So greedy. Swift was there, and SOFM just
no mark
Kindred.
Oh, that's so sad to see.
Oh, 5 minutes and nothing. Not a zip zilch.
And this is pretty clinic on how you can, you know, just deny the Kindred pick completely. Without any of her marks, she deals less damage, and she also has less range. So she will not be that late game carry that a lot of teams are relying on her to be. We see EDG, they're basically treating her like an ADC into the late game. That's not going to be the case for Vici this time around.
Oh no. And already, Snaker saying game one was not a fluke. Game one was not an accident. 8 CS lead for Flandre in the top lane. Guogo, like you said, 15 CS ahead of Firerain. SOFM, 20 CS ahead of Swift in the jungle, as he is stealing away camp after camp. Even in the bottom lane, Light is holding his ground against Snow with a CS advantage of 6, 1 full minion wave. This is real dire for Vici, as they don't have a single lane. Not even the jungle. It's doing well for them.
I feel bad for the RNG on Vici because the scuttle randomly, like the marks on the scuttle randomly spawn, and the first one was on the bot lane right after Swift died.
Yeah.
So there wasn't even a chance for him to equalize on the top side of the map. He just had to take it.
Oh, and now stealing away the blue buff. Swift places a control ward. SOFM places his own. Actually places it out of the bush, but look at that. Snake has already pushed up the bottom lane. This is seamless coordination between the bottom and jungle of Snake. As Never Move will miss Snow. He's going to try and step up at level 6 with Smite. SOFM just drops it down. Vici are set to try and collapse, though.
Caveman going in.
That's the Phantom Undertow. Caveman gets a stun on one, but Maestro actually turns into the back. Swift flashes away from the cast. Teleport being used defensively by Audi and canceled.
I think Caveman surprised everyone. He surprised his own team and Snake. Because Snake could have turned around and just killed Caveman.
Yeah, going real far to get the Phantom Undertow.
Yeah, so...
But Snake instead decided to turn on to Snow and SOFM and force him to flash out of there.
You know, this is why I don't like the Orianna versus and Pyke lane together, but let's talk about the top lane first.
Ooh, that's the Volcanic Rupture. Flandre is pretty low health. He's got his flash. Audi gets the Bellows Breath, but Flandre is able to walk it off.
Yep, doesn't get the E knockup from the the Searing Charge. Sorry. So isn't able to finish out the kill, but talking a bit more about the bot lane, usually with Pyke, you want a kill lane. Orianna, even though she's a mage, she has very low kill pressure early on. So you could see that it doesn't provide Caveman with the ability to snowball. Frostcurrent has been saying this quite often, but Pyke is a lane where it's feast or famine. You win a lot, you roam on the map, or you don't do anything. And this is one of those lanes that looks like the later.
Yeah, it's not winning a lot right now as Caveman was looking for a roam in the mid lane, but again, that vision control from Snake set up off of the back of SOFM, and Maestro has been keeping vision of where that pike is going. Even teleport being used by Flandre to get back top as Guoguo holds down in this mid lane. And he still has no reason to step up on that Yasuo and try to take a skirmish. That's not his job. His job is to get big and buy time for the Gnar, Swain, and Vladimir Hemoplague of late game and deny Vici all of that gold.
Snake is, in fact, a very slow team in terms of the LPL. They usually don't win out early. In fact, they have one of the worst first tower rates, and they usually, the only lane that plays forward is the top lane and SOFM. The rest of the map plays slow. They're there for the late game team fights, but they don't actually do a lot early. Now, Vici, on the other hand, is actually the fastest team in the LPL. Now, that's not a good thing because they die the most of any team. So they're getting that champion kills per minute, mainly with their own bodies.
Yeah.
But they do like to try for early aggressive plays.
And that's what we see right here with Snow stepping up onto Light right now. Snake have some of the longest win times in the league, as you said, playing that safer style during the early game to allow themselves to snowball into later. But that does give more opportunities for Vici to try to get back into the game by inherently giving more time. That's more chances. As Vici now turn on the Infernal Dragon. Now, Maestro and SOFM are behind the pit. It's level 6 to level 7. SOFM has Smite. They pull it out. Command attack. SOFM decides not to go for the body slam. And Swift takes that very early Infernal Dragon. That could become a problem a bit later on, as it looks like the next dragon is also an Infernal.
Ooh, a lot of high priority into this bot lane, and to be honest, this gives Vici a lot of chances to use that wombo combo from their team comp.
SOFM, what are you doing? The flash cast with the body slam from Snow as well. Snake sent 4 members bottom lane. They've got Flandre busy top. Audi does not have teleport yet, but he's going to get it soon. Light taking a few hits as the minion wave crashes in. Caveman with a stopwatch to get away from the potential dive from Snake as they heavily invest in the bottom lane.
It was a little optimistic, I would say. I understand the idea. They wanted to deny Snow as much farm as possible. But going in broad daylight and flashing, trying to catch up when no one, when Guoguo and Light clearly could not follow. Snake coming with a bit of miscommunication.
Overzealous, yeah. Now Audi has that teleport available again, so perhaps they were just trying to use that teleport timing window that they knew Audi wasn't going to be able to follow up on. As Flandre also did not have his own teleport, but Fire Rain, ooh, he's just outside of the brush! He's just outside of the brush! Wait, did Fire Rain just take the marks?
Yes, he just did. I actually want to laugh about it. It feels so bad.
Really
you
does.
can see the pings from Swift. Swift was actually pinging that mark.
my
It was
way.
like, no, don't do it. I'm at 0 marks. I need this.
But that's the Swift treatment, right? At what point do you stop investing in a lane that's already far behind and try to turn it around? Oh no, Caveman, no! He steps up, he gets slowed.
There's no explosive cast.
Yeah, you're right. He's okay. That's the Visions of Empires. Maestro and Guoguo are still back in this bottom lane. Yet another sweeper as they're set to clear this out and perhaps force down first brick. Now Audi has teleport. He's hugging his turret. But Flandre, he's just about to pass out of Meganar into Mini. That means there's no way to cancel that TP as the wave pushes out.
The main problem here was that there's no backwards for Vici to teleport Audi to. If they had a ward in that bottom bush, I 100% guarantee you that they would have done it. You could see that Snake were actually pinging those bushes themselves because they weren't really certain about if they cleared out that area yet. So they do back off, again, looking for the kills, but don't have the abilities to do so.
Yeah, just constantly forcing down the turret. Light steps up. There's the teleport. The turret's finally finished off, but that's first brick for Snake. Teleport completed and no teleports and flashes away, even though the cast was early.
Then maybe you would have wanted to cancel that teleport. That was a bad play from Snow.
Yes.
Let's just call it what it was.
Yeah. Perhaps expecting Snake to try to all in. I mean, Light did use Demon Form, that Demonic Ascension. So perhaps just predicting a little bit more of an engage as... No, I don't know. He was looking for it.
Yeah,
optimistic.
whatever.
Very optimistic. Anyways.
Vici still do have a good shot at this game, and it's going to be around the next Infernal Drake. Snake have to contest this. it's just too dangerous not to. You have a Yasuo running around with 16% extra AD damage is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, your Gnar is not going to be a split pusher in the late game if you let that happen. So they have to 5-man stack here, and you know what the Wombo combo loves. It loves the 5v5. So even with this gold deficit, I think Vici have a very good chance in the next team fight.
And to get back to that Yasuo, he is slightly snowballed because he is taking Scuttle Crabs away from his kindred. So to get back to that again, Swift is normally the guy who, once he sees a lane start to go a little bit behind, he says, you know what, I'm going to stop ganking this lane. I'm just going to tax the CS whenever you get ganked or die. Is Fire Rain giving the same treatment to Swift and saying, okay, you're behind, you don't have any marks, you have no way of getting any of them, so I'm going to take the gold because I'm a Yasuo?
I would like to think that they have a little bit more camaraderie there, you know?
Yeah.
They're teammates, and they actually do enjoy each other's company and stuff like that. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the dynamic works, but
yeah.
I honestly think it was like a... It was
Wait,
like,
was that just a mark that he just got? Or was he marking the Gnar?
I think it was marking the Gnar.
Okay.
We should try to get a shot of the Kindred and keep track of what our range
counter.
is.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I like this play from Snake. So what they're doing right now is that you can see that Vici is heavily investing into the bot lane. Snake read that and said, hey, we have this chance. We're going to go to the top side, and we're going to trade 2 objectives for 1.
Yeah, now it's 2 turrets to 1 because Snake did set the tempo in that early game. They've also taken the Rift Herald, so far it's an approximate 3 to 1 as that next dragon is spawning in 75 seconds. They step up and immediately clear out the wave. Fire Rain is at the Raptor camp. Look, his fire is waning as Caveman will land a Bone Skewer onto Guoguo and Empowered Recall, so no immediate turn onto that middle tier 1, and Snow has been pulled into the mid lane on wave clear duty, so there is a window of opportunity for Vici to try and defend against this incoming Herald, but it looks like Snake are getting ready for the Infernal.
Yep, so what Snake can do here is that they're going to try to use the Herald to pull Vici to defend mid lane and then get the Infernal Drake themselves. I actually think if they trade mid lane for Infernal, Vici will take it. They'll go like, okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. We'll get the double Inferno for our late game Wombo combo, and we have a better chance of winning. So how Snake sets this up is actually really important because they need to take the first step. They need to draw Vici members out first.
And what we see right now is a lot of vision around this Infernal Dragon. That's a lot of vision. As they've got triple control ward and try and behind that red buff and on the ramp. Caveman is going to be the first one to step forward. He's got Swift behind him. But there's a barrel already. Swift finishes it off as the dragon spawns. Fire Rain is split pushing bottom. Audi with teleport needs to make up his mind where to go because Flandre is already split pushing top. He did just pop into Mega Gnar. So Vici perhaps a bit emboldened by that knowledge are stepping up to clear out some of this vision, and Vici turn onto the Infernal. Teleport coming in, Flandre. He's about to pop back into Mini as he arrives.
Yep, the Vici are still going all in here. No Herald used.
Level 9 to Swift's level 10. They are going to smite secure it. They pick it up. The fight breaks out. Demonic Ascension, Shockwave onto 2, plus the last breath with a knockdown. That is the Wombo combo, but Light is still alive. Lamb's Respite. Light gets on top of it. He's ready, and the Pike is there as well. That's the death from below, but they trade 1 kill over. There's no follow-up as Caveman chases down another breath. Flandre does more than enough damage, and in the chaos, it's Vici who are turning and running as Flandre finds another kill onto Snow. 3 members of Vici have died for 3 members of Snake.
So overall, that was still a very solid win for Vici. I'm actually a little bit disappointed by SOFM. He should have dropped the Herald earlier just to force Vici into a bad position. If you had the Herald there, then at least, even if that fight went wrong, they would have taken the mid lane tower, but they didn't do that. Audi gets a good flank in, they secure the Infernal Drake, and watch the Orianna Yasuo last breath combo. That instantly takes out the backline, and Guoguo comes into this fight very, very late. Unfortunately for them, the Lamb's Respite actually gave Swain enough time to get the Demonic Flare off, and Flandre was able to find a triple kill off the back of it.
Now, outside of that play, we can see a quick push into the mid lane from Snake to try and retaliate as they completely fumbled the execution on what they wanted to do, and now they're not even going to be able to get this turret.
This sequence of events is still in favor of Vici. They traded 3 for 3.
And the Bone Skewer SOFM gets pulled in and knocked down. Even Maestro stepping forward uses himself a defense to try and stall it out. They manage to pop a kill onto Fire Aim, but Swift is chasing this down. Guogo gets healed up. Audi pulls him back in. Guogo steps forward again. Doesn't quite have the Hemo plate, but Shockwave Dissonance gets one. Caveman with the flash as Flandre is trying to turn this around in the chaos of this fight. He's got the Gnar, he's got the slam, but Swift just runs him down. Audi doesn't even auto-attack Light at the end, as that was 1 kill for 4, Clement.
Wow, a great wombo coming from Vici Gaming, and I think that was a bit of tilt coming up from SOFM. He knew that he didn't make the right play on the first time around, but uh-oh.
Whoops.
Unlucky.
That's a miscalculation there.
Yeah, a little bit unskilled as well. His teammate could have blocked it for him, to be honest. The never move does hit, it's a short AoE, but it does target the closest member.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the fight again. SOFM walks up and gets into melee range of a pike. Not, again, optimistic. He was looking for it, didn't find it.
A very bad start to the fight coming out from Snake's side. They lose one explosive cast, doesn't really disengage for them either. But Guoguo is able to keep this fight relatively close, and Flandre, if he just got the Mega Gnar here, he could have taken out the backline as well. No, overall, this is just Caveman with a great play, even though you could argue SOFM pretty much handed to him on a silver platter.
Yeah. Just giving over a lot of gold with those kills. Now it's 6-7. Taking a look at that, Swift is 900 gold ahead of SOFM.
Oh, the bounce
after
back.
That early game. We do see Flandre with an 800 gold advantage himself as Light and Caveman just dance around a bit. In the mid lane, it's still close to even. In the bottom lane, Light does have a gold advantage, 1-1 and 5, as he did not die. And there is still a neutral objective advantage for Snake in those turrets.
This is a very different game from game 1. Snake don't have the compositional counters. In fact, I would say Vici have the better 5v5. They have the range advantage, and they also have the engage advantage as well. It's very difficult for Snake to outplay late game scenarios. And I think if they look back at this game, a lot of it has to go down to that Infernal Drake execution. That was just, it was pretty horrible from Snake because they didn't get anything they want.
That's the knock-up, getting prepared. Flandre will eat it in the face as Maestro dashes out for the chase onto Audi, but Shadow Dash, pretty long cooldown. SOFM, he's got the cast. Is he going to look for 2? He's found Swift, gets him slowed. Lamb's Respite is ready, and Swift will use it nice and early. Meanwhile, Audi gets chased down by Flandre, pinned against the wall as SOFM finds himself a kill, and 2 members of Vici split pushing end up going down.
Yeah, I wonder why they were split pushing past River. That didn't make sense to me. They had no vision and there was no objectives to be taken elsewhere. So it's just a bad macro call from Vici. There's no sugarcoating it.
And that is going to cost them. The mid-tier 1 broken now by Snake, as they're finally starting to open up that turret that they've been looking for so long. All 3 outers finally broken, and they're going on to Baron. Vici, I think that they know this is happening. Fire Rain is there, control ward over the wall. Caveman will spot it, already down to half. Baron, very low resistances this early on. SOFM is bursted down by Snow. I think that is the best reaction we possibly could have gotten, as Snake said the exact same thing.
He didn't even use his shockwave. He just killed him straight up.
The attack dissonance, Luden's echo damage. That's all he's got. Now Vici, turn on to the Baron.
Oh boy, this is turning into a good fiesta.
Snake don't have any vision.
They don't have a jungler either.
There they go. Now they're starting to walk over. Blue Trinket sees this. Snow still has that shockwave, as you mentioned, and Last Breath is ready. 5,000 health, but already Maestro flashes in. Snow is caught, and they manage to kill him before the shockwave goes off.
That's a triple Last Breath.
3, but Flandre so low, goes down to death from below, and now they're splitting Snake off. Another execution as Audi and Caveman are just a 2-man duo of death, and Caveman is looking for more. Guogo tries to stall it out, dodges 1, ducks down underneath Swift and the Ignite Predator. Sorry, the Electrocute
with the
flashing over the wall. Guogo is playing out of his mind on this Vladimir, getting inspiration from Flandre as he gets another kill, but Caveman with the execution finds another. That death from below reset has gotten him so much gold.
And don't you just love the LPL? 2 minute straights of throwing and fighting. Wow, this is such a great game.
Saying it how it is. That's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah, I don't understand SOFN's positioning. I don't think he needed to be at the back of the pit, and that just gave Snow such an easy way to basically insta-kill him.
Yeah.
And that led into Vici starting out the fight, and then Vici losing to Snake, or winning against Snake, but then losing. Let's watch that fight over again. Snow actually doesn't get anyone with the shockwave. He just dies immediately, but fortunately for him, Fire Rain was there. He gets a triple knockup on the last breath, and Caveman is able to split the fight. It looks good for Vici so far. It's a 4v2 scenario. They're chasing onto it, but Guoguo with the sidestep gets away from the Pike and then use the electrocute to kill the Kindred as well. Oh, beautifully done.
And Fire Rain thinks he's got the outplay, but SOFM back in time. Eats a cast to go back in, and Caveman finally gets that execution onto Guoguo because it seems like that's what he needed at the end of the game to finally end him off. 4-0-3 on that Pike right now. But Spellbinders is finished. Rod of Ages and Zanya's is now done for Light, and don't go back for that Baron just yet.
Just clear the wards. It's fine. It's fine. Vici members are on the other side of the map, so this is a good play from Snake. It's not a Fiesta play. Like, even when the LPL does have Fiesta, the mechanics are so good that it's actually a good experience.
It comes down to outplays. And can you individually out-mechanics your opponent in this opportunity? As we just saw, Guoguo, 2 versus 4, still able to find 2 kills. Bone Skewer from Caveman does miss, but now Snake are back in the driver's seat after a bit of a rocky mid-game, giving a bit more opportunities to Vici than we expected for a team that's trying to lock down their playoff spot.
To be honest, Vici probably still have the actual gold lead at this point. We do have to remember they have an extra Infernal Drake.
2 turrets, yeah. As Swift is forced to flash away from the cask. That's also Visions of Empire. Audi, all ins on this. Flandre, inside of the red pit, just hops over to safety. But that's both Flash and the Call of the Forge God for Snake, trying to clear out Vision.
The problem for Vici right now is that they can't go into the jungle together, and they don't have a good solution to the side wave pressure. A lot of this is overflowing from the fact that it's Gnar versus Ornn in the bot lane, and Gnar is always going to get that push pressure come to the late game.
Already you can see that wave constantly pushing in, never move. Will catch Audi. He steps back forward. A shockwave onto 3 plus the last breath as Snake walked face first into the Wombo. Here comes the death from below, but the Hemo play onto 3 is doing a lot. Audi's already low. He gets the knockup, but a great Lamb's Respite stalls out. Guoguo goes in. He gets plugged back over, finds a double kill. Caveman doesn't get another, and Snake, despite walking face first into Vici, find 4 kills for 1.
Oh, it's just so unfortunate for Vici. They got such a good start to the fight, but the Snake members were too tanky to really be killed off in a single combo. They needed a bit more sustained damage to finish everything off, and I think the main thing about that fight was Guoguo was able to reach the backline just through that funnel. Yeah. That was the main turning point there, and it forced out the Lamb's Respite in a bad position for them. It gave Flandre enough time to recover, get his rage bar up as well.
No!
Not the mark. And Fire Rain as well.
Fire Rain is there, trying to catch him recalling, trying to catch him window shopping, but passes over a kill. Ooh, you can see it in Swift's player cam. That man is not happy.
Yeah, let's watch how Guoguo actually makes it through the funnel. This is a good start. It should have been just kills all over the place.
He was late to the party, and then just walks through the front door.
Yep. That's what the pool will do for you. Manages to get over. Audi can't block him out anymore, and he gets massive damage on 4 members of Vici. I would like to see the damage graphs, because I'm willing to bet that he did over 50% of the damage in that fight.
Guoguo?
Yeah.
Real big. He's got the Spellbinders back at 100 stacks now. And that is a lot of damage coming out of that Vladimir. Still though, 27 minutes in, now Snake have got the Baron buff. Now they've got the opportunity to start sieging and breaking down some turrets. They actually need to group up and do that though. Flandre has teleport. He's prepping a wave bottom, and Fire Rain is the one who's trying to answer, but it looks like the focus is on mid and top for now from Snake.
Yep, and Snake are just looking to take over the jungle. We could see that in the last fight, even in the worst case scenario, Snake was still able to outplay Vici and win a team fight. So they should have no hesitation in taking over this part of the jungle and trying to make it happen again.
Already they've proven that they have got the stronger team in the jungle in those tight corridors. Guoguo happily steps up and starts chunking down the tier 2 Light with 5 stacks on the never move. Maestro way behind the turret. Pulls some of the attention from Vici, but SOFM is trying to group up with Flandre. He's looking to harass Fire Rain on the side and just maneuver back and forth between these 2 crashing minion waves. Something's got to give eventually. Is it going to be mid or is it going to be top? It's mid.
Snake just have the inner route. It's much easier to move through the jungle between these two towers than going through your own high ground. It's a very common move that we see in professional play. I like to call it the Z cut because you just walk in a Z fashion over and over again through the jungle. Yep. And you can just do this ad infinitum and get those towers down.
And look at how safe Snake are playing. I would say safe, but I think SOFM just wanted that Raptor camp. And finally, the call goes out to move the 4-1 over to the next tier 2. Nobody's actually finishing off top yet either. So with 50 seconds left on the Baron, it looks like we're not going to be seeing an inhibitor siege out of Snake. They're just opening up this bottom half of the map to give more leeway to Flandre. If he wanted to try to harass, you can see he's got the Frozen Mallet, Phantom Dancer, Black Cleaver, and a BF sword.
Most likely going for the GA next, but he's packing enough physical damage to offset his mainly magical damage teammates.
Yeah.
That was one thing I worried about Snake's composition, is if that Flandre didn't build offensive enough, then they could actually lack the penetration power in the late game.
Look at that gold difference. 4,000 gold ahead of Audi nearly. And finally, SOFM is back in the gold lead over Swift by about 800. In mid, it's actually close to even. Fire Rain is keeping pace with Guoguo despite these fights, and same thing in the bottom.
Definitely true. I do want the analyst desk to take a look at that fight that happened inside the red buff, because I think that was definitely a winnable fight for Vici Gaming.
Yeah.
They had a very good start to it, and it was Snake outplaying with the Guoguo into the back line, but I think something probably happened in the front as well. There's just so much action that we couldn't catch every aspect of it.
And hopefully we can get a chance to take another gander at that, though. I'm sure we're going to get plenty more fights in this game. I don't think it's just going to be one of those passive, slow, oh, I guess we'll roll over and lose now out of Vici, especially with this Wombo combo, especially with Fire Rain. 270 CS, 2 items, finishing off that Infinity Edge relatively soon, because it does already have that 60% crit from the Yasuo passive as Guoguo steps up and finally is going to break down this tier 2 along with the rest of his team.
Yeah, what I think Snake can do is try to run a 2-3, so have Shen with Gnar. It's extra kill threat, and both of them have teleports to join the fight right after as well.
Ooh, Flandre. Ooh. Tries to pin Caveman to the wall, but gets a flash out of it instead. And now they're able to start getting some pressure onto the inhibitor turrets themselves.
I'm sorry, my brain just froze for a second, and I thought Fire Rain was trying to give a wind wall so someone could pin him.
Oh,
it's like, you can't reach him to the high ground ball? How about you pin him on the wind wall?
Yeah.
But of course, that's not how the combination would work. Do walk away with their lives, but have to burn the flash for that.
And just starting to choke out the vision from Vici Gaming. We haven't seen any big teleport flanks out of Audi in this game because Snake have just been so ruthless in their ward control, their ward placement. And now it's 2 minutes until that Baron is back up. The clock is ticking for Vici, and they need to navigate into the jungle blind.
Always a very tough thing to do. The crucial item for Vici right now is getting that Infinity Edge done. For Fire Rain, will boost his crit from 60% to 100%. He's going to get a lot of extra true damage off on that as well. So we do see Fire Rain venturing very far off into the side lanes just to make sure he can get that item before the Baron spawns.
The clock is ticking. Has he got enough gold right now? He's not starting the recall. He did catch a wave bottom before now heading top, and that wave is pushing all the way up to a turret, the tier 1, still not broken. Finally it breaks down. You can see Vici sending so many people towards this side of the map to keep vision near this Baron area, even taking the Scuttle Crab, but now it's 60 seconds on the timer. And Snake, they're back out. Yeah, the Infinity Edge finally finished off for Fire Rain.
You can see how many members Vici sent just to make sure Fire Rain was safe in getting that item. They really need that to team fight.
That teleport is ready for Flandre. He's level 18 with another BF sword on the way after the Guardian Angel. So over-indexing in physical damage.
He definitely needs to do it. I think it's a smart item choice here. His team is completely magical, and it's already 32 minutes as well. So you don't want to face a scenario where your team doesn't have enough sustained damage to finish people off.
Something that could be real scary, as there's a lot of sustained damage on that Yasuo and Orianna in these longer fights, plus some upfront burst. But now Swift is trying to contest this vision. Again, we got to talk about the communication, Vici. You got to communicate. somebody's going to place a ward, and then you've got another ward burned down. There's only 5 left in the inventory for Vici around this Baron pit. That said, that is a lot, and Snake have already placed all of their control wards around the pit.
You know, the Chinese side, they do have a show where they call this a display of wealth. It means that we can spare the 75 gold and have even more control of this brush.
To be fair, it is only a 7,500 gold difference between these two teams. Only. We saw the difference between Fire Rain and Guogo, along with Light and Snow, is pretty close to even. Might not be so much after the Tier 2s were taken after the Baron Siege. But if you look at the items, it's still pretty close to even. 3 on Fire Rain and Snow to 3.5 on Guogo and Light. The big difference, again, is Flandre.
Yep, Flandre, who has been split pushing the entire game, over 4,000 ahead of Audi. And then look at that bot wave for Vici, though. They actually have the superior setup in this fight, and they're just dragging Snake out. If they actually catch the Gnar without Mega, I feel like they could win a fight straight up in the jungle.
Also, a Mark has just spawned in that bottom river.
He's not going for it.
I'm not saying it's more important than Baron, but it is Swift. And Snake are going to turn onto this Baron. And look at how quickly they're actually burning through it. Maestro steps up. Caveman gets behind them. Swift is immediately targeted out. He gets knocked in by that Shadow Dash. And a pin against the wall from Flandre. He gets a 3-man stun off the back. And Swift is dead before there's a respite. Fire Rain tries to go in. Shockwave onto 2 gets big damage, but is it enough? Caveman is behind them. He's looking for the execution, but remember, it's a GA on 1. Guogo dies. Death from below. Doesn't find the kill as Snow gets chased down by SOFM, and Flandre will run down Caveman as he leaps, dodges the boomerang. And Snake will turn towards the Baron as it's 4 members of Vici dead.
Absolute disaster coming out from Vici. They actually had a decent setup. The entire team of Snake was locked into the Baron pit. And if they could have walked through River instead of through the ramp, I feel like they had a decent chance. But the combination of Snake just going in at the right time, getting the triple stun onto Swift, most importantly, just ended Vici's hopes. It was a winnable fight. It was a fight that they could have stood a chance, but just mis-executed very badly.
Caveman looking for the Miracle Steal, but gets zoned away by Maestro. His Baron is picked up by Snake, and they've already pushed to the inhibitors before. Now, Elder Dragon is spawning on the map, along with the Mark.
Oh, Kindred's gonna finally get it.
He's running. No, get out of the replay.
Let's watch the fight again. Swift gets taunted, but doesn't die right here. Gets out, and then gets locked into the wall. Unfortunately, isn't able to get anything off before he goes down.
Look at that, they're turning onto the Elder Dragon instead of the Mark. Now SOFM is there. The fight is still breaking out on your screen. Flandre looking for the steal. SOFM over the wall. It's down to 3,000 health. There's like a Lance Respite. Stalls it out. Swift is solo on top of that Elder. It heals up. They kill Swift. They get the Elder. Snake are absolutely slamming down onto Vici and completely shutting them down in this last fight. The cast gets tossed for style points as Snow dies, but Snake have taken everything. 24 kills to 14 is about to become 25 kills to 14. And once again, Caveman, the sole survivor, will watch as Snake barrel down the mid lane and are set to close this series out.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the start of the fight, but Vici again falling to the same reasons. They have better setups at times, but they just can't out-execute other teams. That's why they're 1-7 at this point. They go in the fight, they have a good place. You know, in the previous Baron fight, they actually had the bot lane wave set up perfectly as well. They just can't deny the enemy team, however.
And without that denial, it's an easy finish for SOFM. Even the Stand United to Swift is back up. Are they going to finish the Nexus? They do. 25 kills to 14. Snake close out the series 2-0 over Vici Gaming.
It was a very daunting game too, a lot of back and forth, a double Infernal coming in from Vici and a close gold lead, but Snake showing themselves as the superior team fighting team. I think that's the most important thing we see out of this game, is that even in a bad situation, even in a triple face check, Snake were able to beat out Vici in that 5v5.
It just goes to show that Snake are superior in this matchup. As they walk down and shake hands, you can see Audi not entirely pleased with that performance. Same thing with Caveman. After game 1, he had his head very head hung low after that setup. Vici, they're going to have to try and recover in this because, again, the team is now 1-8 and is at the bottom of the standings, both in matches and in game wins.
But my question is, how do you salvage this team if you're Vici Gaming? Like, the coordination isn't there. You don't have the best players yet. What is the next step to really elevate this squad and make them a playoff hopeful? Because we don't see it right now.
We don't.
We really don't see it right now. I want to know what the organization thinks about it and what they plan on doing. They have to give fans some hope. Vici Gaming is a very successful organization in other titles, but hasn't found any stride, any momentum so far in LPL.
And they've got some star talent on their bench as well. Easy Hoon, ex-world champion. He's been sitting out for quite some time as Fire Rain has been making some movements, but look at that damage. Snow, 23,000. He was able to put out some big numbers again on this Orianna, still proving that his damage percentage is quite high for this team, but not enough to close it out. Somewhere there is a disconnect on Vici Gaming, and it is causing faults down the line.
You know where it is?
Where is it?
It's between Swift and everyone else, to be honest. That's the most obvious answer. Like, Swift individually, okay, good player, but with his team, with his lane snowballing, just doesn't do much. And Vici Gaming, in draft-wise, I want to see more variety out from them. They had a good chance to actually put the Yasuo bot, have a better bot lane there. Orianna mid, have a winning lane there as well.
Yeah.
They didn't do it, which is a bit disappointing for me. And then you see the blind Gnar actually outperform the counterpick Ornn by a massive margin. And you have to wonder, is this really the drafting strategy you want to go for? Just all in onto the Wombo combo, disregard your lanes. Is that a good strategy?
I mean, it's the confidence, right? If we can find a Wombo combo and win, then yes, we can show that this works. The most basic strategy in League of Legends is enough to do it for us. Because at this point, Vici, they need to go back down to those basics and try to find out, is it just the disconnect between these players, or is it in their execution as we hypothesized in the game? Because it's the same story with Swift, as you said, on Newbie, on Xiaogu, on all of these old teams that he's been with. He's a star jungler and an excellent mechanical player, but if his team isn't there behind him, not the other way around, then he doesn't see success, and neither does his team.
I think he's probably like a Hello Kitty jungler, doesn't have a mouth or something. So
yeah,
it's kind of disappointing. I think Vici could be better, and I just want to see them try to put more emphasis in the laning phase, get one lane rolling, and I think that's a good start for them.
Well, maybe they'll have to do that in their next series. For now, though, it's time for our analysts to break down that Snake victory.
And it was a 2-0 victory going over to Snake against Vici Gaming. In that match, some differences were made in Champions League. There was some difference between Champions League of Game 1 and Game 2.
Yeah, so the first thing is that Vici went for a similar composition, but there was adaptation, let's call it, between games. Now that they finished the first game, it was very clearly a defeat. A Kindred was a big part of what beat them, and they were like, let's absolutely take that away. Kindred's a problem. We're trying to Wombo, so let's deny their counter to that Wombo. But they gave over Gragas at the same time anyway. So I can understand what they were going for here by taking the Kindred, but by giving over the Gragas, what they deny from themselves is the Gragas Yasuo combo, which was a major part of their strengths in the first comp. So that's where I was a little bit, apprehensive towards it already. But the rest of the combo still works. They got an Orianna this time, something that was not available in the last game. And you can see the capabilities of that Wombo. And the biggest strength of Vici's composition is not just the team fighting, but how it controls zones when it's ahead. It was just never ahead because Vici playing it, but comp does it.
It's meant to. We didn't see it, unfortunately. But aside of Snake, though, their draft was able to tear apart the composition slightly. Gragas with a disengage, Gnar with a displacement as well. Then you got Shen, Vladimir, Swain, three champions that are very difficult to kill in a Wombo combo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so Gnar in the top lane is something that we've started to see a lot more recently, and Gnar is very good into the tank champions. You scale up into the side lane, and you team fight as well, if not better at times, than the tanks do up there that are against you. So Gnar is one of those catch-all champions that I think is very good, and that's the thing with Snake's whole composition. When we contrast their Game 1 and Game 2, it's not disengage explicitly, it's just balanced, it's well-rounded. Gnar can engage, Gragas can disengage, they can do as they please. Shen, globals, can roam, can shield, can help. They literally have an aspect of every type of composition within their one composition, And that just opens the floor to them for any kind of diversity that they would choose.
And we continue to see Snake use that diversity they had in their composition to win team fights. Starting with the Dragon fight that we saw very early into the match, Snake were able to pick up a victory here.
They were able to pick up a victory on the back of Flandre, namely working with Light, and Guogo, of course, coming and having a good team fight presence. Now, there is something that will consistently irk me through this game, and that is that I was irrationally upset watching SOFM play League of Legends in this game. And I hate saying that.
Isn't that common?
Oh, yeah, but this was like, there's tiers to every SOFM
There's tiers
game.
to the SOFM.
And this one was like S tier for how upset I was by every decision he made. And that fight, he had a Rift Herald. He could have summoned it in mid lane before the Dragon Force started. And he also could have maybe not been the target of the Wombo and instantly died without using a single spell. So that one fight, if we take that in a vacuum, bit of a mistake from SOFM, that's fair. But he also missed 2 ultimates before that happened. At level 1, he flashed and didn't body slam, used it afterwards because the rest of his team got it going. He clearly was not communicating with his bottom laner that was the Swain, because every time he threw a cask at them, Swain would pull them closer and he would just miss. So there was a lot of things going wrong there for SOFM, and it didn't stop at that 17-minute fight, believe me.
So if your scale of SOFM making you upset was here, how upset were you when he got picked before Baron was started by Vici, forcing Guogo to make an outplay for Snake to stay in this
I think
match?
it already died inside by then. You can see his dead body laying on the ground. Guogo is the person I want to highlight here, because yes, SOFM is dead, but this is one of the cleanest Vladimir team fights that you have ever seen in League of Legends. Firstly, getting the kills, and secondly, dodging all of the spells, dodges the brittle, dodges knockups, doesn't stand near walls, dodges the hook from Pyke, gets into the pool, and then flashes over the wall with a kill to spare. And then SOFM respawns through all of this, comes back and keeps his mid laner alive. That was just so good from the individual player of Guogo on the side of Snake, and then the rest of the team does that as well through the team fights. Flandre individually having a great game. So really, when you look at Snake versus Vici, I think if Vici were a better team in the league, if it was an actual better team fighting team, Snake probably would have lost that game.
What did Vici have to do then to become a better team? What's the next step for them to improve to try and take down teams like Snake when they face them next?
Do you want like analyst answer, or do you want Rusty's answer?
All right, let's do Rusty's answer.
Bench everyone.
Bench everybody.
Yeah, just start the team from scratch. The reason that I say this is Vici have not been a top team since their first team in the LPL. Since the very beginnings, they have not been a top team. They bring in Marta and Dandy, and they try to incorporate those two. Still not a good team. Believe it or not, with Marta and Dandy in the team. Bring in Easy Hoon. Same thing happens. So it seems like it doesn't matter what happens with the rosters they bring in. They're making decisions, and the team themselves just doesn't mesh, and it's never successful. So I would actually start from the very beginning. Keep it like, have the manager. Manager hires a new coach. Coach hires a new team. That's what I would do if I was fixing Vici. But that's just me. That's not the analyst part.
Unfortunately, they're already halfway through the summer split of 2018's LPL, so they don't have much time to make a full roster change, but hopefully Vici will be able to make some improvements moving into their next matches. Light, off the back of that second game, was able to pick up an MVP performance for Snake. Had a great game on Swain.
They definitely did. I personally was looking at Guogo or Flandre. I thought they had very good showings, but Light was the unsung hero of that game. Barely died, 2-1 and 19, high kill participation, and he was consistently rattling off the damage. So don't let the 25% damage percent fool you. He was always there when it mattered, and he was dodging the wombos and helping to win those team fights.
Light's only played for Snake for a few times, so it's his first MVP performance as well. He's been stepping up. Crystal's already spoke highly of Light during this spring split, and it's good to see him actually finally get playtime.
And this is one pick that we've seen from Light so far. He's been given the Swain very freely, it seems, and this is one of the champions that he looked comfortable on. Our speculation with Snake was that he was not able to play the majors perhaps, and until recently, so he's able to get start time again, and we've lost Houdier as a result.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see more of Houdier, because he was a very good support in his own right, but
yeah,
we'll have to see if Snake make any more changes moving into the next few matches. That was only the first best of 3 out of 3 best of 3s we have today. The next one is going to be played in Hangzhou, where we'll see that match coming to you in about an hour's time. After that, we have our match of the week. It's going to be RNG taking on Rogue Warriors.
This is a big one. Definitely one you want to see. You saw both of these teams at Rift Rivals where they clutched their way to victory for the LPL. Friends there, enemies here, so now they're just frenemies.
That'll start at 7 o'clock Beijing Standard Time, no matter what. Even if the next match runs over, we'll make sure to cut to that game and bring you updates wherever we can. But our next match between LGD as well as WE will take place in an hour from now. So go take a break, grab some avocado and toast, get ready for this next match. We'll see you in about an hour's time.
过去的荣光就留在记忆中 ，WE 要追逐新的胜利。